All right, hoping that this works now. And you guys let me know if I'm a little too loud because I changed the settings. You can see there is no overlay because I didn't put it. Like I don't want to. I can see that the screen is there. Let's see. I can hear myself back a little bit. So yes, hello Chase.
Oh, hello. It's been a while since we've done this.
Yes, it's been months. I think it was October, November. I don't know, something like that. But yes, the first thing I want to say is thank you so much for the 10,000 subs. I hope to provide more better, no, better content from now on. And I am actually planning on filming and having a little more gear set up, so it should be getting better soon, hopefully. Even if this room kind of sucks, I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna try to do some tutorials. Well, not exactly tutorials, but a little more informative, or I guess educational videos versus just giving opinions about stuff like I did so far. Hey, although technically there were some ideas here and there on what to do. I'm planning on doing more technical stuff. So we'll see how it goes. Hello, Cookie Archer. Welcome. And welcome everyone else. So let's see. I've got some reference here. I'm just gonna do some figures, I guess. Some of these are from photos, some are copies from other people. Hopefully I can see the chat. Chase is gonna tell me if I missed something. Hello, STHEM Bile. How do you read that?
Stimbile Shilembe.
Okay, that's complicated to read, but welcome. Welcome to the stream. So what am I gonna start with? Let's see. I'm a little cold because I didn't draw much today because I was working on another video. Actually, the review of the unboxing one from today. And it's probably gonna be out next week. Hopefully, if I can finish recording. You draw a girl holding a chainsaw? No. No, I'm just gonna do some anatomy in the stream. South
You
Africa.
could, but
I could, but no, probably first I gotta warm up. And in general, okay, if I'm yeah.
I was gonna say we had somebody else from South Africa, the guy who did voice acting. I forget who that was.
I forgot his name. So if I were to ever do girls, well, I am actually doing women on paper, but not the type that most people think because they're from Metal Gear, so they're a little less girly. So probably not the influencer type of thing that most people associate this with.
I just want to say that I'm also doing girls.
Ha. Are you? No. Just kidding.
No, I'm too busy.
But yeah, so anyway, yeah, I'm drawing. I am actually studying Yoji Shinkawa's style, so I am drawing some portraits and figures.
Yes, I've seen those. They look really cool.
Yeah, I actually am enjoying, and I'm probably gonna have some videos. Maybe I'll switch completely at some point to traditional, because I think there is a value in doing more traditional stuff versus all digital all the time. It's AI proof. So there's that. And you can't do this that I'm doing now. You can't really lasso and change things. So hey, if you do something wrong, you're stuck with it. But the good thing is that it's really good for training because you're gonna have to redo that. You screw up. So it's not bad. It's actually really good because you draw more. So in fact, what I've been doing, like if I get the face wrong, even just a little bit, I do another one, and another one, and another one. So there are pages that are just basically the oval of the face because I get it wrong. Obviously, I'm using a brush pen, so it's not very easy to control. And I'm probably gonna stream something like that, or make a video about that at some point. See, the head is wrong. And since I'm doing digital, I'm gonna fix it because I'm a cheater. So It's fine. Um, but yeah, it's been, man, it's been quite some time since when I streamed last. I was in
Last
Japan and I was very
thing
sick.
you streamed was Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh, yeah.
I think that was like 6 months ago.
Yeah. I was sick a lot. So there is that. It's also because it was a bit of a bad time. So, like, at the time zone was not really good, or it was definitely pretty bad. And I might stream again while I'm here. I don't know. It's
That's
just
how
that
Japan goes.
How does Japan go? Or did you say
That's
that's
how
how?
Japan
Okay,
goes for
okay.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Being sick all the time. Yeah, I'm doing better now. I was finally able to gain weight again, so I don't look so much like. Oh, I still kind of like I'm dying, but not that much. Not as much as before. So that's pretty
You shed
good.
some pounds, including a whole woman.
Yes, pretty much something like that. Yeah. So whatever. It's summer now. It's been a pretty cold summer. Well, technically it's not summer yet, but I start to consider June as summer because days are long and or should be, and it's usually pretty warm, but not this year. This year it's actually pretty cold. Not today. We
Uh,
had yeah.
it's definitely summer here. I mean, holy cow! It
Hot.
is. It's 94 Fahrenheit, which is 34
Yeah,
Celsius right now.
that's pretty hot.
It is very hot.
Oh, it's funny because I bought like a. It's not really a portable air conditioner because it's like a fan with a tank. You put ice in it, and you can basically cool the air with that. It's been completely useless so far. It's been actually pretty cold. Like I had to wear long sleeves until yesterday. So
Yeah, I have a standing fan, and it's been pretty helpful so far.
I guess you're gonna have to
I have
use.
it positioned right behind my chair, if in case you can hear it back there,
I don't
giving
know.
white noise.
I can't. So,
Although most days Angus likes to just kind of lay in front of it.
for those not familiar with that, Angus is his dog. A very cool
My
dog, by the way.
wonderful little doggy.
I also drew Angus.
Kind of.
Kind of. That's a little off, but it's fine.
I would love it if you did like an actual portrait of him that I could hang on the wall.
Maybe one day. I can do an ink portrait in Metal Gear style.
That'd be cool. The
That'd be
nice thing about
interesting.
Angus is that he has really cool colors like
Oh
on his
yeah.
coat. So it's probably pretty fun to make him in a painting.
Oh yes. Okay, something like this maybe for the hand. Probably gonna be a little faster for the next ones, just basically warming up with this. And I think it's Kranz. Yeah, it's Kranz stuff. I actually tend to study other artists more than I study I study like actual photo reference. I would do it digitally or traditionally. Would you do it? I would probably do it traditionally. Or to do that, I did some pet portraits back in the day. Like what, 10 years ago or something like that. I know I was paid for that, so they were decent. It was in graphite, nothing fancy.
Honestly, if you were well known, that's not like a bad business opportunity
Oh no, not
because
at
people
all.
would
Oh yeah,
love to
yeah,
have their pets drawn. Yeah.
yeah, but I don't like it. It's boring. Honestly, no, I don't think I would. I would do that for a living.
You like drawing monsters.
Yeah, I mean, now that I'm getting into more stylized characters like Metal Gear, that's pretty cool too. I'm actually thinking of doing something that's uh kind of like Dino Crisis, but with Metal Gear style. So with dinosaurs and people with guns. Um, so I don't know, maybe we'll see. Depends on the time it takes because I already have open projects so that are taking a hit because of YouTube right now. So
Well, it's good you're doing character stuff because that helps me out in the future.
oh yeah, for the secret
Although at
project.
some point, I think you and I should begin a business venture, and I was thinking about making. Remember that game I told you about, Caravan, the card game I made?
Yes.
I was thinking about using Godot and converting it into Godot and making a
Hmm.
card game out of that. And
That'd
I'm
be
like,
cool.
if I could get Nemo to do card art, we could make a game and sell it and
Well,
make
if you
lots of
give me
money.
like 5 years to get rich, then I can do anything I want. No, just kidding. Maybe 5 years. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, I mean, like we can probably like swindle Emperor of Cheese and maybe get him to do some stuff.
Yeah. No, but in all seriousness, honestly, if I, so actually I had this thought experiment, which is, because it's cool to do sometimes, right? If I were filthy rich, like I would not have to work at all. Like 0 hours a year. Um, I would make a game. I would keep drawing because I like drawing. I would keep teaching because I like teaching, and I would make a video game. So that's on my to-do list on the Sunday bucket. And
Is
yeah, so
Gordo easy to learn or
this one's
harder than
Godot.
Unity?
Godot.
Godot, I think Godot is pretty easy, but the thing is, Godot is all community based. There's a lot more resources available for Unity compared to Godot because it's just been around a lot longer and it's been more intensive in the industry. So if you're like angling to work for a big studio, you'd probably want to learn Unity.
I don't know if
If you're
they're
just
gonna keep
wanting,
using Unity though after the policy changes last year.
yes, but it's still pretty widespread in
That's true.
use. But I mean, like Godot, it's not a bad idea to dip your foot into it now. I saw that Slay the Spire 2 is using Godot as its
Hmm.
engine, and that's a pretty big deal for a game like a sequel for a game that big to be built in Godot. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping that that increases the usage of Godot. But yeah, I've made a couple of games in Godot. I think so you can use like various external like plugin libraries and you can use C sharp if you're like more comfortable with that. But I think GD script is so useful. If you've never used GD script is basically just Python.
Hmm.
Some people will be like it's not Python, but realistically it basically uses a lot of the same
Hmm.
syntax as Python. And I think Python is a great language to learn, especially if
Oh
you're,
yeah.
just dipping your toes into it. I don't know if I would
Python's
go
pretty
directly
easy.
to C sharp, but
That's what I did when I studied Unity. It was
it's not
not
going to
too
hurt
bad.
you.
No, it's pretty easy. C sharp is actually pretty easy, and the documentation is pretty good. Um, the only problem with you,
Now,
I don't know. Yeah,
if you're a real wannabe programmer, you'll start out with something like Rust or something.
good luck. No, probably not going to do that. I mean, I don't know. Again, if I had infinite time, maybe, but I don't have infinite time, so. Uh, no, I'll
if
probably,
you're a
yeah.
if you're an amateur programmer and your first programming language is Rust, you're based as hell.
Oh, well, you're going to learn a lot if you want to do that. No, I'm probably going to hire someone to do the programming if I make a game. I don't think I'm going to dabble with that again. I got really tired of debugging and stuff.
You
Really
would hire
tired.
me.
If you want. You can be a writer and a programmer. I can do the
I
art.
am already doing that.
So, oh, I mean, for me, I'm gonna be like a super giant
Oh,
billionaire
okay,
entrepreneur.
yeah. I'll make Daigen the video game.
Well, maybe one day, hopefully.
Actually, that would be
Hopefully,
pretty cool if we made like a Daigen card game simulator thing.
there should be at some point. There is gonna be at some point.
I mean, like the creature design and the basic world mechanics would probably translate well to a card
I
game.
think so. So for those of you who don't know, Daigon is a project I'm working on. It's coming slowly because I don't have as much time as I thought I would have to work on it, but it's got a pretty well fleshed out world. So this is a little too flat, but whatever. So yeah, I think it would translate pretty well to a card game or a game in general. It'd be pretty interesting to see. What if I use a melee pen? No, maybe not yet. I've been using this a lot, although usually I do it when I'm a little more warmed up because it's kind of hard. Well, let's see. Never tried doing this when I was while talking, so let's see what happens. I'm gonna screw it up. I noticed that I tend to have certain poses that for some reason I keep doing over and over again. And this is a copy, but this is one of the poses. I guess I copied it a lot of times before. I don't know. But I just keep doing this when I start like doodling a boxy man. That's what I do. So, oh well.
Yeah, at some point you and I will have to stream something on a tabletop. We could either do a Duel Masters or Digimon card game.
Duel Masters would be interesting. Because I want to try to play it. Because I've never done that. Like I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh back then, and then when Duel Masters came out, I was already out of the game.
I've been playing a game called Vault of the Void. It's on Steam, and it's like a deck building roguelike kind of game, which I mean, I've played tons of those. So I've played like Slay the Spire, Monster Train, Pirates, Outlaws, and Vault of the Void is a really interesting game from what I've been playing it. It has a lot of mechanics that are a little unusual for card deck building genres. It's kind of intensive. Some games like Slay the Spire has, I think, a pretty good like learning curve. Like it gives you a little bit of leeway in terms of understanding the game mechanics. Vault of the Void is probably like a little more for people that are used to the game mechanics, but I'm really enjoying it so far. It's very in depth.
It's cool. I haven't been playing that as much. I would like to finish Death Stranding at some point, but it keeps crashing. Actually, I found hopefully a solution during lunchtime today, and hopefully that works. We'll see. It's pretty interesting. I don't know. Part of me would like to, especially because I'm into Shinkawa style recently, would like to really enjoy the game, and yet there are these long stretches of nothing to do when you basically cross the landscape. It's like, I don't know. I mean, it's a cool idea. It's got a nice atmosphere, but I just wish there was something else to do, or a little more story. Like not necessarily gameplay, because I'm not one of those who always wants to play. It's okay if there's a story bit or something. It's just that nothing happens. So it should probably be a little bigger.
Whenever you play Death Stranding, does it remind you of Nemotog and him wandering around with his stuff on his back?
I guess.
I didn't know this, but that was like an actual profession. I think it still is in Japan. It's like
carrier.
What is it called? The Baka, Bokka in English.
Bokka.
Yeah, they're like porters, and they carry things on their back to people in like mountain guest houses.
I see why they have to do that in Japan.
Yeah, they have like a little wooden ladder they use, and like they just carry things to people who can't they don't have like access to vehicles or anything, so they carry supplies to them. And
okay,
whatnot.
I didn't know that. Things to discover. Okay, let's see if I'm ready to.
Which I think is kind of the basis for Nemotog's design, him carrying that stuff around on his back.
Yeah.
Same with what's his face in Zelda Beetle, the guy.
Oh yeah, that
wandering
guy. Same
shopkeeper guy. Yeah.
Let's do this. A game I never finished. because I couldn't beat me nor my son could defeat Ganon. I felt like the difficulty spike was insane for the last fight because I didn't really upgrade armors, and it was good enough to just kill everybody usually because they wouldn't have a chance to attack you.
Are you talking Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom?
Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
How do you draw the muscle in between the pelvis and the torso? First, I think this is wrong actually. The muscle between the pelvis and the torso? You mean the abs? Or the obliques? Wait, I'm gonna guess.
It says when doing a gesture.
I don't. When I'm doing the gesture, I don't. It's just a line. So this person has a keyblade in the hand. Probably not gonna do the. Well, maybe I should do the whole keyblade to train that perspective, and maybe something like this. Not the other because it's pretty ugly. That's one ugly keyblade. Damn. Okay. Am I gonna do the box? Yeah. No. Nah. I'm just gonna go in a little more normal. Actually, it's been a while since I've done some gestures like this because I've been doing mostly portraits and monsters. So I should do a little more anatomy studies, I guess. How's that? This goes this way. More like that. I don't even remember how I did the ones I did for the last video because that was recorded in Japan, I think. I completely forgot what I did. Like, I don't know if I did it this way, if I went over, probably went over the trace. It's actually divided a little bit. Anyway, Stemble, sorry, or miss. Let me know what you mean with the muscle because I'm gonna get to it now. But if you mean the abs, well, it's just a line. It's basically just in the middle like that. It doesn't really show that much. Hey, Saman.
It's Saman.
Welcome. It's been a while. So if you mean the obliques, just, I mean, something like this, probably enough. This is not supposed to be, obviously it's going to look a bit like a bodybuilder because it's more of an anatomical study or a figure study. At this stage, it's still a figure study. I wouldn't say it's necessarily an anatomical study. So, and it could be a little more fluid. Maybe I don't care. Just still warming up. These days, it takes me a long time to warm up, like up to an hour. So it's probably going to be done warming up.
I imagine like a big spotlight around him with this gesture.
A big spotlight?
Yeah, like the bird's eye view over him.
Oh, this is a woman, actually, the reference. That's why I drew the breasts.
Actually, you know what? Have you ever
thick.
Have you ever seen Sugimori's original artwork with red and blue and green, like the trios? How he kind of does like a bird's eye view with them getting ready to fight.
I think
kind of what it reminds me of.
I think I did. Yes, Chase too. Chase is on the case. Right.
Yeah, I'll get to it eventually.
This is short. This arm is short. Really short. Really too short. God damn it. Until I've not been doing figures enough. Hello, Ken Kerr, and welcome. Can't really
Okay,
see this
that's
hand. It's
I
really...
sent it to you on Discord. That's the artwork I was talking about.
Love the way you draw figures. They're not my forte yet. I mean, I can draw figures, obviously. I can draw them better on paper actually than on my tablet. Let me see. What did you send? Oh yeah, yeah, I do remember that. I've seen that. Thank you, Simon. Yes, it's been a short journey. Didn't take that long. So what I would tend to do with this is, like, since it's a woman, if I weren't doing this reference, I would definitely shrink the shoulders and make the hips a little wider. But because it is from reference, I guess I'm gonna stick to it. Generally, the first ones I do for the first hour or so tend to be kind of stiff. And this one, I feel like it's too stiff. It's really stiff, actually. Especially like here, this should be a little more like that. Yeah, I can do some invention too, we'll see. And I'm definitely, so, okay. Here's a thing. I was actually watching a video today where Proko and Marshall Vandroff were debating about, oh, should you study from masters first, or should you or like other artists, let's say, first, or should you study from life? And Proko was all like, yeah, you should study from life because, you know, he didn't really have a reason for that. It's just, well, studying from life is better. And Marsha is like, no, it's not. Because there's too much information and you're not, as a beginner, especially as a beginner, you're not going to be able to dilute that and draw anything that looks half decent out of something like nature because you don't have the tools. So it's much better if you borrow that, this is a little off, if you borrow that simplification and abstraction from someone else, which is also what I do recommend because honestly, it's a bad idea to just start drawing from life like that. I want to draw figures similar to the way you do, but I've tried so many other methods over the past few years, but I don't want to fail. That's a problem. Because the only way to learn is failing. Like, unless you make a lot of mistakes, you're not going to learn.
Yes.
Failing is good. Failing is great. Quite literally, the only way to learn is to fail. We want to fail a lot. You want to fail fast if you want to learn. Otherwise, there is pretty much no chance to learn, like quite literally.
That's not just true for drawing, it's true for everything.
That for everything, yeah. And I'm going to cheat here because I don't want to fail. No, I'm going to cheat here a little bit. So actually to segue into what I was saying, it's basically about learning, making the mistakes when you're learning from someone else so that you can understand how people solve them versus being on your own and trying to figure out everything. Because it's like, okay, I'm copying from a photo now. Like, and this is very dry. Like, I can do this, but this would not be good as an illustration. This would suck as an illustration. If I want to use this for an illustration, and I could use this post for an illustration, this is absolutely not the approach I would use. I would go with something that's way more gestural, like, it's like, I don't know. I would make up most of this and try to maybe introduce some of those things, like I'm studying from Shinkawa, say, for example, because he is a master in dynamic figures, like he really is. He was not at the beginning, I noticed, of Metal Gear, but then obviously he got better. So you would have to basically come up with something that's more unique than I'm studying all the muscles and blah 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 and the volumes. Have I studied Michael Hampton? Yes, that's why. Yeah, when I do these studies, I definitely reference to that because he's pretty good. He's definitely definitely a very good source for figure drawing. But again, this is really not how I would go about, and that's actually not how I go about coming up with a character or a pose. Because if I draw something for an illustration, I don't use reference first. Reference comes in later. Actually, it's a little too muscular maybe. Because if you start with the reference, you're gonna stifle yourself. Basically, you won't be able to be as genuine as you could. And again, it's really important that, especially at the beginning, you copy from, not exactly copy, you study other artists, because there's no way you'll be able to take in all the information from life and make something remotely good out of that. Again, this could be a decent study, apart from the fact that I'm drawing too small and with a shovel, basically. This foot is small. But it's not going to be the basis of an illustration. Not even remotely. So you definitely want to be way more creative and free when you... Man, it's been a while since I've drawn feet, and now I'm completely stuck on them. Oof. I have to draw a few legs, maybe. Let me try a little bit. Because I gotta warm up these. And by the time I'm gonna be warmed up, it's gonna be 10, so I'm gonna have to go. But anyway. Let's see. No.
You might want to censor the feet.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of strange people watching this video.
Probably.
Artists are a particularly odd group of people.
Yeah. But really, like, the difference that there is between, like, what I said in that video, that you're going to produce a pile of crap if you're not warmed up, is actually true. Like, I've drawn, I drew this morning, like 1 hour ish, and then I had some, let's say, incidental training, like while I was waiting for my pasta water to boil and for the pasta to cook, and then a few other times. But if you're not in the flow, things are not going to turn out very well. Like, this kind of sucks. So you say, well, you knew you were streaming, so you should have been drawing before. So it's like, yeah, I should have, but I didn't. So there's that. Let me actually take another pose that's a little more. Yeah.
Compare drawing to making pasta. You're very Italian.
Yeah, right. No, because it's because I was waiting, and so I am trying to draw as much as I can. So let's try this. Probably, let's see what happens if I use the Milli pen to start with, because that's what I've been using basically for a while. So for a good while now, I've been drawing on paper, and before I got the brush pen, I actually used the High-Tech C, which is basically like this. That's why I started using this when drawing digitally too, because I do like the looks. And also bear in mind that I keep referencing every single, this is still too small, every single measurement when I do this. You're doing great. I wish you all the best. Thank you. But I'm not doing great. I've had better days. Also, honestly, it's been so long since when I have been talking and drawing at the same time last time. It's actually pretty hard. Like, something that happens when I am in the flow, I shut up completely. I notice that when I am very focused and when the drawing kind of flows on its own, I am 100% silent. I barely breathe. So I don't know if that's good or bad. But...
Yeah, that's why I should be here to fill in the silence, but I totally know what you mean, especially like when you're playing games. Like when you and I were streaming and we were like playing Rocket League and whatnot, I'm like, sometimes I would forget I'm streaming and I need to say something to the audience because I'm like so focused on trying to play.
Yeah.
it's I'm not good at like dividing my attention in that way.
Yeah, it's not. In any case, it's not very good to do. Uh, so that's also one of the reasons why I stopped streaming and I started making videos, because when I'm making the video, especially if it's async, and most of them are async, apart from a couple, it's way easier to get into the flow of things. Now, if I were just saying, okay, like I'm drawing the foot now, I'm gonna draw this foot like this, and then I'm gonna measure the negative space here, then yeah, absolutely. But if I start talking about something else, I completely lose my focus 100%. Because just how things are. I think my problem is that I overthink too much when I'm drawing. I end up feeling like even my gestures have to be spot on with the reference, even though they don't. They absolutely don't. You always have to set a goal when you start. Like, what am I gonna get out of this? Okay, this is off. Am I gonna study the flow? Am I gonna study the structure? And again, I think, and I'm actually working on something specifically for this, and probably gonna have some kind of. It's probably gonna be some kind of course. It's people really underestimate how much progress you can make if you just study one thing. Like, look at that PewDiePie video. It's from a few months ago, and it was kind of sensational because he showed his progress of his drawing progress in 3 months. Everyone is like, or 100 days, I think. Everyone is like, oh my god, that's insane. Like, oh my god, he became so good in just 3 months. And it's, yeah, he did, but that's obvious. Like, I don't see how else that would be. If you take an artist, that's basically what I say in my video about getting good quickly. If you take an artist as reference, and actually ideally you also copy first. If you're very inexperienced, you start by copying, then after a few days you copy, and then you add some of yours. I think it might even be possible in 1 month if you do it every day, if you do it long enough. So like, you could say, well, you know the fundamentals, so obviously it didn't take you so long. But now that I'm studying Shinkawa, honestly, it took me like 3 days to get his style, and it's pretty much spot on. I'm only doing portraits so far because that's what I'm interested in. I've done composition before, but it really doesn't take that much. It's pretty easy, so I encourage everyone to just try that. Don't think, oh, I don't want to become a copy of that artist. I don't want to be told, oh, it looks just like. That's fine, because over time,
that's how you get better.
That's absolutely how you get better. And even though people nowadays, because they're new age, I don't know why they started saying that copying is bad. Oh, you gotta follow your creative juices and whatnot. Back in the day, everyone used to just copy the masters when they started. So,
yeah. Do you guys think that every programmer just makes original code every time they're doing something? That's not even true for people that do it as their job. They just go to like GitHub, or they just Google it and be like, okay, I've got some sort of function I need to perform. Let me look up and see who else has done it. Because why would you waste the base of knowledge that has been built up over time and just say, no, I want to be totally original? That's true for anything. It's true for art. It's true for programming. Don't feel bad about looking at other people's work. We all do it.
No, absolutely. It's I was saying this is bad. It's fundamental to do that, and you're not gonna get better. Like, I dare say this. Now, a lot of people, especially in the art community, say, "Oh, you gotta study fundamentals. The fundamentals first. Once I will have my fundamentals nailed, yeah, then I will produce a finished piece." I think it should be the other way around. It should be 100% the other way around, because if you don't have a reason to use your fundamentals, you'll forget. And that's what I said in my last video about anatomy. That I don't think was appreciated enough, but it will be in time, because people will notice that it's useless to study stuff that you don't need. And you won't be able to use it, even though you could argue, oh, you're able to study Shinkawa now because you have the basis of anatomy. Yeah, to a degree, but I dare say that if I had done the opposite, this is wrong. So starting from the fact that I like Shinkawa, and so I just start copying him, I would have got to the same point faster, way faster, because I wouldn't have all that those notions that I'm unconsciously try to apply every single time I do something to slow me down. I would just learn how he does some things. For example, I'm going to learn that he uses a specific distance between the mouth and chin, like the bottom of the chin. And you could say, well, but then you're going to do it wrong every single time if he gets it wrong. Yeah, but at least you can make something you're proud of. Because at the end of the day, all you want to do is that. Like, you're not assuming, I guess. Like, you don't want to draw this, I guess. Like, I don't do this because I want to draw this, although I do like doing this. I'm one of those weird people who do actually enjoy drawing mannequins. I do it for fun. But assuming you want to produce some kind of piece of art, I don't think it's useful at all to start with notions, because you're gonna be stuck. You're gonna get stuck because you're not gonna know how to use it. And I know there is a I don't know if he's here, but Nathan is a user, not user, like a community member of our Discord, and he's very focused on fundamentals. But I want to keep stressing that I don't think that's the way to go. I used to think so, but I don't think that anymore, because I've noticed that even with people that I taught to, that doesn't work if it's not included in a framework. This head is weird. If it's not included in a framework, what happened? Where you actually want to use the stuff you learn. So by all means, go out, take your Naruto manga or whatever, copy the hell out of that, and do your own. So you copy one day, then the next day you only copy the first day, and then the next day you start making yours. So you do like 5 copies, and then, or ideally 10 or 20 copies, and then a couple of your characters. And then gradually over time, you increase that number, the number of yours, of your own pieces. You're not going to find it scary anymore. It's not going to be a problem on how do I start this? Because you're just going to borrow whatever the artist of that specific manga or whatever, whoever concept artist or card game is. What am I doing with this in? Because I can draw hands technically. Can I draw appealing hands that I'm happy with? Or can I just draw technically, maybe not this small, but can I draw technically correct hands? Because that's very useless. You don't want to draw correct things. Although you do want to draw them correctly, you don't only want that. I stressed about the fundamentals for a while, but to be honest, I haven't noticed improvement from doing so. Right? That's what I'm saying. You are, in a way, improving, but I don't think you're improving as much as those who actually focus on making their own art. Like, if you look at those people who are really good, like take Shinkawa, it's not like, yeah, he went to art school. Yeah, he has done some oil painting and stuff, but he's been drawing a hell of a lot on his own. He was doing his own stuff, and he was copying Amano first, 100%. You can actually tell from the shape of the eyes. I didn't notice before. But the eyes Shinkawa draws are basically from Yoshitaka Amano. Just a little more rendered, but it's basically that. So once you have some fundamentals in, like, you do need, and obviously I said so, I'm not going to say it's wrong. So you do need like spatial awareness. You absolutely need that. But in the framework of doing your own thing. Because if you don't have that, good luck getting better. Really, you're going to get bored, like I did, for a long time. Now I just draw and I have a lot of fun. Because I keep referencing and studying the artists that I like. And I'm not ashamed of that. Like, I'm not, like, if I have to, I don't know if I can do it digitally. Let's see if I can start drawing something like Shinkawa's sort of face. This is gonna look a little weird with this pen, but it's kind of interesting to do because you're literally just getting in touch with the stuff that you like, right? I don't know, something like that. Generic. And you would have to add a little more, obviously. I know this is long, but you would have to add all the shading and stuff. But I can do it really fast, and I can get pretty much the proportions correct, even with the brush pen. And it's really fun to see how similar I can get things to something I like. That gives you a sort of dopamine kick to propel you forward. Because if you don't have that, it's going to be really hard to keep drawing. Like when I was going to Watts Atelier, I wanted to draw monsters, and when I tried that, I was like, they suck. Because I was studying figures, and I was assuming that, how is this guy bending the knee? Jesus, I'm gonna change it. It's too much. Let's do something like this. I was assuming that was enough to, just studying traditional stuff would be enough for me to be able to draw anything or everything. But it's not the case. It's absolutely not the case. It's actually very far from the truth. So if you want to get better fast, copy the art you like. Really, even if it's a manga, like whatever it is, just make sure it's someone at least decent. You can probably tell. Like, don't go ahead and copy the original One Punch Man drawings, right? Unless you really want to draw like that, because they're not good. The current ones, yeah, from Murata, yeah, sure, but not the original ones, probably.
Is that what you did? Did you just say, I like Grand Blue's art style, so I'm going to make monsters
That's exactly what I did when I found out. Because it was even hard. So I watched Naoki Saito's video. It's fun. It's funny because I actually knew about this because it's not a new thing. I knew about it since the Watts days because Eric Guest told me. He literally told me the same thing. Just using Rockwell as an example. Norman Rockwell, and I did not listen to him. And then I saw Naoki Saito's video, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. Oh, wait a second, I heard this before. And so I did 2 + 2. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give this a try, and it worked. Because in 1 month, I went from having random styles to having a consistent style and being able to crank out a lot of monsters one after the other. In literally 2 months, 3 maybe. But I also had to come here at some point. So I had a bit of an interlude having to travel, but in general, it didn't take me more than 3 months. And that's how I got, my first good jobs, except from Ethermon, because I already had that.
Yeah, so the moral of the story is don't be a Nemo. Follow the advice that's given to you.
Yes.
And you'll save some time and headache.
Yeah, absolutely. Follow the advice that's given to you. Don't be me. You can follow my advice now, I guess, because I learned from my mistakes.
Follow the advice you're hearing right now.
Yeah. Even if you're not convinced, give it a try. Like, you're not going to lose an arm if you do that. So once you get the first results, you'll be convinced, obviously. But until then, you try, give it an hour a day. Bengus? What's Bengus?
Is he the Capcom designer?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know the name, honestly. You should. If you like that stuff, absolutely 100%. Will it be recorded with automatic subtitles? I have no idea. There are not going to be closed captions now because I use the ultra low latency because I don't like to have people to have to wait for the chat. But otherwise,
I think YouTube should have its own auto-generated.
There should be. Let's see what I can do from imagination now. Actually, what if I try? Oof, not this big. Actually, I'm also drawing a little too. Oof. I did use this one before, but no, probably gonna stick to. Let's say. What can I do? Do a solid snake type of thing. I don't know. It's weird when you use a brush. Honestly, the brush pen is actually not that hard to use once you get used to it, but it makes it harder to switch to something else, because when you have something else, you can lean on to the tip to stabilize yourself. On the brush pen, you can't because it's a brush. So what if let's see. No, I want to do it the other way around. And obviously it doesn't have the same breadth, the same width. Like if you try to, even if I press, this is not changing as much. It's still, yeah, it's got that stiffness of the digital. I am considering switching to traditional 100% and not looking back. It's just so much more enjoyable. I'm gonna make originals and sell them probably.
So if I asked for monster designs, you're going to ship them in the mail and I have to scan them on my printer.
I'm gonna no, I'm gonna scan them. I don't know, but at least part of it is gonna be traditional. I don't know. There's something so stiff about. Maybe I should do. It's so stiff about digital. Like I don't. It's too stiff. Too stiff. Too stiff. So we start with this. Yeah, I can absolutely work something out. Probably going to be a generic pose at this point for this. But yeah.
That's actually what I said would be an interesting aesthetic for a video game, like an indie game.
Which
like
one?
you take like if you take designs and then you make it look like they were scanned on a physical printer into the game with like scan lines and whatnot, and you've got like color blots and bleeding on them.
Oh, that would
you
be
make like
interesting.
like a Paper Mario style game with that as the aesthetic.
That would be interesting. Problem with games is the cost in terms of time, especially. Yeah, I realize the more I look at it, it's like, Jesus. And there's so many games that just get canceled. It's hard to understand how hard it is to push through a full pipeline for making games, honestly. It's a lot to do.
I feel like the gaming industry is probably headed towards a restructuring of some sort eventually.
Yeah.
I just don't think the model right now is sustainable long term.
No, especially because it really, like, making a game involves too much now. If you notice, it was much more active. The industry I wouldn't say it was more active, but it was definitely not in a rut like it is now, when it was just about making PS1 games, right? Because it was complicated code-wise. You had to code everything. Now you do have libraries and stuff like that. But nowadays you have to hire voice actors or make AI voices, I guess. You have to do mocap. There's so much to do. Probably even 3D scanning and stuff like that if you want it to be realistic. It's too much. It's really too much.
And what's the end result? A lot of it just feels the same in terms of playing the game.
Right. That's a huge problem. Like, everything nowadays feels pretty much the same. So, I don't know. I hope they change course quickly, because otherwise, I wouldn't say it's doomed. There's still going to be indie developers that are going to make something that works, or that's good. And there are some studios are good. Honestly, I really like Quantum Break. I played Quantum Break when I was in Japan. It's a really good game. I guess it's because I like storytelling over just raw gameplay, but it was really good. It was from the same. It's Remedy Entertainment, so the same developers as Max Payne, and man, was it good. That's a very, very good game. So highly recommend it if you haven't played it yet. And It's not hard. Like, I'm not a big action player, and it's not hard. It's definitely not hard. So I would say give it a try. Because it's worth it. In my opinion, it's 1000% worth it. It's short. It's like 10 hours. So it shouldn't be a big commitment in general. I think pretty much
one thing I like about the PS1 era games is the crazy stories that they made for the
Oh,
games.
yeah.
The stories today, like maybe the fundamentals are better, but they're just so much boring in terms of presentation, and you can pretty much pick up like what's going to happen pretty easily. Like the average video game story these days is like probably on the level of like a bad fantasy novel if I had to make a one-to-one comparison.
Yeah.
But like back in the PS1 days, the stories and characterization like weren't all that great, but I love the concepts and the ideas in them. They just felt so much more inspired, and it's just like I think I mentioned this before, but like the craziest video game story ever for me is like Wild Arms 2,
Don't
right?
play that.
There's nothing there's nothing like a climax of the game. No, should I spoil it?
I don't know. Should you? Ask the chat. Chat, should you spoil Wild Arms 2? I have not played it, but I don't care.
It's so crazy.
I don't mind.
All right, I'll spoil it.
Yeah, well, okay.
So if you don't want Wild Arms 2 spoilers, a game from like over 25 years ago. Yeah, so like the climax of the game is like like the villain impregnates his sister,
Oh, nice.
and then yeah, they perform a ceremony because the Kuiper belt is like a living entity, right?
Oh, okay.
And so it's like a force of evil. And so he impregnates his sister so they could perform a ritual to transfer the soul of the Kuiper belt into the baby. And so like one of the final boss battles is fighting the baby. Like you have to like perform an abortion.
Oh, I think I've seen that. You probably sent it to me as a reference for something.
Probably, yeah.
I think you did, because he was a baby.
And then the main character, the hero, is possessed by a demon. And so when you kill the Kuiper belt abortion baby demon, the demon and possessing the hero comes out, and that's the final boss battle.
Wow.
It's like, what a crazy
It's
ending.
pretty insane. It is pretty insane, admittedly.
And the entire game, you're part of the Arms, which is like a mercenary group, and you're fighting Odessa, which is like a terrorist group. And then it turns out that the main villain of the game is funding both the mercenaries and the terrorists that the mercenaries are fighting at the same time. So it's like the prequel trilogy. Like the one guy is funding both sides.
Oh, nice. Anyway, all right. I think I've reached my deadline for today. It was much with this really nice ending, I guess. Just a couple of sketches like that. See, I started warming up towards the end. That's why they get a little better. But this is pretty bad, and these are just copies. So anyway, all right, everybody.
I like the monitor heads. I like the monitor heads that you've got.
Yeah. So everyone, thanks a lot for being here with me today. Thanks again for the 10,000 subs. And there's going to be another video next week. It's going to be the actual review with my opinion about the Canvas Pro 13. Why does it have this name? Jesus. 2.5K. And then the next video might be about master studies, but we'll see. I'm going to try to make one per week again, if I manage to. We'll see. It might take me a while to get back on track with that because I have a lot of things to handle. Anyway, you guys have a good night or afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. And thanks, Chase, for being here, obviously, as always. And
no problem.
I will see everyone next time. Take care.